Okay.
All right. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Crawford Loan Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed and publicly noticed. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to be quietly observed, but this actually is a public meeting, correct? Okay, so members of the public are able to ask questions during this meeting. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. I'm pleased to call this meeting of the Long Middle School Go Team to order at 5:35 p.m. Our first order of business is to call the roll. The secretary will now take the roll. Ms. Dionise. Ms. Dionise, turn your microphone on.
Yes, thank you.
Well,
Carla Mccall, are you present?
Present.
Lenicia Presley, are you present? Joanna Thomas, are you present? Natasha Hall, are you present? Jameson Murphy, are you present?
present.
Kenya Boston, are you present?
Present.
Anna Dionise is present. Jesse Webb, are you present? Okay. All right. Okay. That is it.
Okay. This team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. Ms. Secretary Dionise, is there a quorum present?
I'm not exact. I don't believe so.
No, there is no quorum present.
There is no quorum.
There is no quorum present. If there is if there is no quorum present, we do not have the quorum present. We needed a majority of Go Team members in attendance to vote on the agenda items. Having a quorum protects the school by preventing a small number of members from taking action on behalf of the entire school. We will proceed with today's discussion and information items. Action items will be tabled until a quorum is established. So that means that now we're going to move down to the action items because we can't take any action. Move down to discussion items. So that means we would drop down to the discussion items on our agenda.
Hey, Mr. Murphy, this is Chandra from the Go Team office. How are you?
Fine, yourself?
Good. I was just checking on the quorum status so I'm seeing I guess 7 people signed in, but you're saying that's still not a quorum for 6?
Yeah, because it's myself, Ms. Dionise, and who else is on?
And Ms. Boston. Those
Right.
are the voting members.
And we're missing 2 other members.
And do you all have any vacancies on the team?
No.
No, we don't have any vacancies.
Oh, okay. And so everybody else signed in is just like observer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you just have 3 team members here.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, just confirming.
And if I'm correct, we can't approve any agendas, correct?
Right. So you can't do anything that you had listed under your action items.
Right.
But if there's discussion or information, then you can move forward with that.
Okay, great. And so with that being said,
and the only other thing, just to clarify, I'm trying to pull up you all's website because I don't have it, but just to let me see how many meetings you voted on.
6.
Yeah, so you guys will actually need to reschedule because if you don't, this meeting won't count as a business meeting because you don't have quorum. So you can go ahead with your discussion items and your information items, but you'll still have to add another business meeting because you only voted on 6 business meetings and this one won't count because you don't have a quorum. Am I explaining that well?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so from just a casual look, maybe adding a meeting in November or January would be my suggestion.
And we would have to wait till the next meeting to actually vote on that, correct?
I would suggest that you send out an email to the full team just to get people's input, to verify that this day and time is a day and time that will work for folks, and then propose some dates for reschedule.
Okay. And one last question: in the business meeting, will we still have to go over the strategic plan and those other informational items?
Yeah, you will.
Okay. Okay. So, Go team, do you all still want to go over, share the informational items? You don't have to vote on anything, just
I would
general.
say yes, because we're all here.
Okay.
It would just have to be represented the next time that we meet, but why not?
Okay, cool. So at this point in time, we're going to move down to the discussion items, which starts with our school strategic plan, which will be presented by our principal, Carla Mccall.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm about to share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to give the principal's report for C.W. Long Middle School. Our topics will be our school strategic plan, which focuses on strategic plan and priority review, our SMART goals. We will have a data discussion focusing on our spring MAP scores and also our Georgia Milestones assessment from last spring. And also I will give a principal's report in regards to our current enrollment and leveling, and also additional information about the school. Now, for this school year, our goals that we have focus on numeracy, literacy, and the whole child. For ELA, our SMART goal is the percentage of students in grades 6 through 8 scoring proficient or above in ELA as measured by the Georgia Milestone will increase by 3% from 13.9% to 16.9% by May 2024. For math, the percentage of students in grades 6 to 8 scoring proficient or above in math as measured by the Georgia Milestones will increase by 3% from 8% to 11% by 2024. And for our whole child, our goal is to increase the average daily attendance rate from 87.5% to at least 90.5% by the end of school year 23-24. And we would like to also provide at least 2 opportunities for family engagement and student goal setting to enhance academic and behavior ownership during my apologies, it's supposed to be 23-24 school year. And our strategic priorities and initiatives to foster academic excellence for all, focused on data, curriculum, and instruction and signature programming. Building a culture of student support, focusing on whole child intervention and personalized learning. Equipping and empowering leaders and staff, focusing on strategic staff support and equitable resource allocation, and also creating a system of school support with collective actions, engagement, and empowerment. So for our first priority, how are we going to focus on fostering academic excellence? 1, to improve student mastery of reading, language arts, math, social studies, and science content knowledge. Implement the STEM program model. Prepare all students for college, career, and life. Prepare all students to have essential life skills, social or SEL, social emotional learning. implement goal setting, student ownership, growth mindset opportunities for students, and build teacher and leader capacity, and also recruit, develop, and retain highly talented faculty and staff. These are the strategies that will be used to meet those priorities. 1A, provide a strategic daily intervention connections block to address learning gaps, which is currently happening in both ELA and mathematics. Implement research-based instructional practices school-wide. Provide core content enrichment and acceleration support to students to include advanced courses. Implement project-based learning through our school's focus on STEM, and execute a college and career readiness plan. We also will implement social emotional learning and restorative practices, implement strategies to motivate, engage, and build self-directed scholars with a sense of autonomy, choice, and responsibility in their actions, provide targeted professional learning opportunities and develop focused on research-based practices, implement intentional vertical and horizontal instructional alignment throughout the school and cluster, and also create a H4TQ hiring for teacher quality team within the school. We will also maximize the use of data dashboards and universal screener reports to monitor strategies and our progress with students in the building. We will build a parent, family, and community capacity and engagement for all nationalities to understand student academic and behavior needs through town halls, curriculum nights, workshops, and after-school all-stars. Now, let's look at our data. In front of you, you will see the spring 22-23 MAP results. This data is based on all grade levels. So you will see we have 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, both mathematics and reading. First, we'll look at our 6th grade scholars. If we look at our 6th grade scholars in mathematics, 64% of them were at the beginning level based off the performance indicator on our spring map. 31% were at the developing and 5% at the proficient performance level. In ELA, 6th grade, 57% beginning, 27% developing, 14% distinguished, and about 2% at the distinguished level. I'm sorry, 14% proficient and about 2% at the distinguished level. For our 7th grade scholars in mathematics, 56% performed at the beginning level in mathematics, 39% at the developing level. We have about 4% at the beginning level and about 1% at the distinguished level. For reading, 50% of our scholars in 7th grade math on the map in the spring scored at the beginning level, 37% at the developing level. We had 12% at proficient and about 1% at the distinguished level of performance. For our 8th grade math scholars in mathematics, 58% were at the beginning level in mathematics, 35% performed at the developing level, about 6% performed at the proficient level, and about 1% at the distinguished level. Now for 8th grade ELA, 44% of our scholars performed at the beginning level, 39% performed at the proficient level, developing level, 15% performed at proficient, and 1% performed at the distinguished level. And this is based off of our results from our spring map that we took at the end of the last school year. Are there any questions in regards to the spring map data results?
Did you want to present the math data as well?
The GMAS?
No, just the math. You stopped at reading, I believe. Did you say?
No, I also said math for 8th grade, 58% beginning, 35% developing. So I did go through 6 and 8. Do I need to repeat that, Ms. Boston?
No, ma'am. I didn't hear 8th grade math because there's not a number for the proficient in math. So I was just curious what that number was.
For 8th grade, for proficient, I think it was about 6%.
Okay, thank you.
Now we're moving to the milestones results. Now, as you can see, I put both the district
and our comparison for Long Middle School. As you can see, we do have some work to do at Long Middle School, but at the same time, if you can see, especially if you look at proficient and distinguished, that we are working towards some progression and we are seeing growth here at Long Middle School. So first, I'll look at the ELA for all grade levels. In 6th grade ELA, again, this is the performance on the milestones, whereas the data shown previously was that of the spring map. For 6th grade ELA, 61% of our scholars scored at the beginning level, 28% at the developing level, 10% at the proficient level, and 1% at the distinguished level. And that was ELA for 6th grade scholars on our Georgia milestones. 7th grade, 50% of our scholars scored at the beginning level, 32% at the developing level, and 17% at the proficient level. And that's 7th grade ELA. Now 8th grade. Our 8th grade scholars, 49% of them were at the beginning level, 38% of our scholars were at the developing level, 11% of our scholars were at the proficient level, and 2% of our 8th grade scholars scored at the distinguished level on the 23 Georgia Milestone Assessment in ELA. Next, we'll move to mathematics. For 6th grade, 70% of our scholars scored at the beginning level. 25% of our scholars scored at the developing level, and 4% of our scholars scored at the proficient level. And that's for 6th grade math on the Georgia milestones. For 7th grade, 54% of our scholars scored at the beginning level, 40% at the developing level, and 5% at the proficient level. And again, that is 7th grade mathematics. And for 8th grade, 55% of our scholars scored at the beginning level, 31% scored at the developing level, 13% of our scholars scored at the proficient level, and 1% performed at the level of distinguished on the Georgia milestones in mathematics. Now, the next 2 content areas I will focus on will only focus on our 8th grade scholars, but because they are the only scholars tested in science and social studies on the Georgia Milestones Assessment System. For 8th grade, 69% of our scholars scored at the beginning level, 22% scored at the developing level, 9% scored proficient, and we had about 1% at the distinguished level. And for 8th grade social studies, 62% of the scholars scored at the beginning level, 32% scored at the developing level, 6% proficient, and 1% distinguished. At this time, we will have some discussions in regards to this data. And if there are any wonderings, any questions, and the actual protocol we will use will be on the next slide. I do apologize. First, we're going to look at some of the glows and grows from the data that was presented to you. Then we will go into that protocol discussion in regards to our data. Here's some of the glows identified based off the data of not only the MAP assessment, but also the Georgia Milestones Assessment. Our glows: 51% of students in ELA meeting or exceeding their MAP growth target increased from winter to spring. 41% of students in math meeting or exceeding their MAP growth target increased from winter to spring. Our CCRPI attendance increased from 44% to 50.9% during school year 22-23. And the percent of students score proficiency or above in science increased from 6.6% to 9.7%. Now, here are some of our grows. The percent of students scoring in ELA is 13.9% for proficiency and above. The percent of students scoring in math is 8% for proficiency and above. Our average daily attendance rate decreased by 0.5% from 88% to 87.5%. And the percentage of students scoring proficient or above in science is only 9.7%. And that's something we need to see increases in also. So, are we on target to successfully accomplish our priorities? We will use this next protocol to have a team discussion on the data itself and what did we notice, what are our wonderings, and what additional questions do you have? So this time I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a second. If I need to go back at any time, please let me know in regards to the data, and we will begin our discussion in regards to the data shown to you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this time. Okay. What do we notice about the data? Are there any questions about anything that we noticed, team? Any wonderings?
I was going to ask Ms. Mccall, with the district results that you showed, there was that one kind of a startling green band of physical science, and they said that's an 8th grade thing in the district, but we don't have physical science here for 8th grade.
We actually have students that are enrolled currently in physical science through our AVA program. So those students are working with Ms. Mays and the AVA teachers. So we didn't have it last year for those students who tested, but this year we do have students who will be tested.
Okay, I was just curious about that.
That was a great question, Ms. Delnise.
I know it wasn't presented, but I would like to compare previous data to current data. So that way we can try kind of track how the students are trending. You know what I mean? Like the comparing the 7th grade students from last year to the 8th grade students of well, the year 8th grade that were in 8th grade 22, 23 to their data from when they were in 7th grade for 21, 22. You know what I mean?
So you're saying compare students to students and not to grade levels. So pretty much looking at the cohort and not the grade level itself. So the 7th grade students compared themselves to how they performed last year on the assessment. Is that what you're referring to?
Well, we can't compare the 7th grades from last year because they haven't tested yet. But like, you know what I mean? Like the year, our 8th grades from last year compare how they did in 7th grade the year before.
I mean, you could compare the ELA and math scores,
But not the
yeah, for
science.
social
Right, but not
studies
the
and
science and
science.
social studies. So I'm being selfish there. I just wanted to see how the kids performed, comparing you know, seeing how they grew.
Okay, we can look at that trend data in the ELA and math courses.
Actually, we can't even do it for social studies because kids don't take the test in 7th grade. So really, we would have to look at it for reading. That's where my curiosity is, to see how they grew with reading, because I feel like reading and social studies go kind of hand in hand.
Okay, so we can look at that trend data.
And
Are there any?
I was just going to say, I noticed that the children did, I believe it was math, 7th grade last year. They did more children scored in the proficient in 7th grade math. So I'm just curious on you know, what strategies were used for that performance.
So for 7th grade math?
Yes, we can go back to the. Okay. Oh, actually, it was developing. Guess I was looking at. Or am I looking at ELA? Maybe I was thinking about ELA then. Sorry, maybe ELA. So you have 17% proficient last year in 7th grade. So just what strategies were deployed for that level of achievement? Because definitely we want to expand the kids' performance there, but there's, you know, there's still 50% that were in beginners. We definitely have to address that group of students, but I would also like to look at the expanding the proficient and distinguished performance.
Yes, and that's something that we're currently working on, especially when it comes to the intervention classes that we have, because we really have focused on honing in on those students who are at the bottom. Well, we say 25%, but of course we have to look at those tier 2 and tier 3 students also. So we can really look at those students who are bubble students, and we can really push so we can move those scholars from that beginning to that developing, or from that developing to the proficient. But most of the scholars that are in the intervention courses are those students who are those bubble students who have the potential to go from that beginning to developing and could possibly push those skills even more to get them to proficient. But at the same time, that's where it goes to that personalized learning and those small group strategies that we're trying to start implementing, so we can make sure we are focusing on the individual need of the students instead of focusing on just skills for the entire class. And of course, when you focus on those individual needs, they may allow those students to get to the next level based off of those learning gaps identified. So we're working on that with this data. We're using that data to make those necessary shifts and changes with those identified targeted students. Were you able to hear me, Ms. Boston?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just, still looking at today. My brain is just, the wheels are turning. Just thinking about like what we can do. I know we're working on it in the background, but like we can do to put this data in front of the kids. When we say like, a personalized plan, I know we have to do that with our in our instruction, but thinking about maybe a personalized sheet where the kids can kind of document. Like I know they receive the family report, but maybe something we can keep at the school where the kids will record how they performed on maybe the GMAS, and then make some goals, and then identify how they plan to close some of those gaps. You know what I mean? To make it more take that additional ownership.
And that is actually, I have something in my hand that we will be working on, and we're really going to focus on that right before they take their second map, because the first map actually was a baseline. So once we take the second one, it will actually pinpoint their growth, and they will have a more personalized idea of what they need to get to that next level. So that will be done towards November, where we're going to our second map. So that academic ownership, what you were talking about, so they really could know what the next steps are going to be, we will be working on that at that second map.
And do we plan to do like mini celebrations to celebrate? What do you think about a maybe a wall of fame or something to help celebrate the kids, maybe make it tangible? I know several years back we used to do bullying assessments, where if the children did well on the assessment, it was kind of like a quiz, and we would give them like little medallions so they could build up their bullying to demonstrate success in the various classes. So that may be something we could consider to increase student engagement and performance, because they like to have something tangible to say, hey, I achieved something. So maybe that's something we can consider.
Okay, that'll be fine. So we'll find ways, and we'll discuss additional ways to incentivize the scholars for their growth on the map. So that's absolutely no problem to find ways to incentivize them. So I will be taking those suggestions as a team. We can come together and find ways that are innovative and creative to incentivize the scholars.
And then also, Ms. Boston, to further find any correlations, if you go to APS graphs, you can use that as well to find further correlations with the data. And maybe we can have a drill down as a school with the APS graphs data as well. Also, too, in the chat, one of our members, well, not members, but one of the public members, Ms. May, she said, is it possible to see the MAP scores data that was recently done this school year? Also looking at science, I see that much must be done, but so far as the district, as a school, we are not that far off. And she concluded with, again, work will continue.
Okay, Ms. Mays, yes, of course. I think 8th grade was the only grade level that didn't have that data did. Yours was rescheduled because you all had another activity. But I will make sure, because every other grade level, they did have a dive into APS graphs and the data that was available for them. And they were able to see the actual scores from the last map. So I'll tomorrow, and I'll look at the schedule for tomorrow, if possible, meet with 8th grade so you all can have the dive like every other grade level did have.
That'd be great.
And at this time, we don't have any more comments about the map data from the floor. We can move on to the principal's report.
Okay, now we're moving on to our enrollment and leveling. This school year, our projected enrollment for the Long Middle School was 675 students. Our current enrollment, and when I say current, as of the day of leveling, when the information was due, was 649 students. That meant we had a difference of 26 scholars, or we had decreased based off the projection, we did not meet that by 26 scholars. But I'm happy and proud to say the difference in enrollment did not have any impact on our current staffing. We were able to keep all staff members and leveling was not needed. That was for this school year. And now the next slide will show you actually why. Now for this school year, in front of you, you have our leveling change base rate. Based off the decrease of 26 scholars, at each scholar having a base cost or price of $5,193, Crawford Long, we lost $135,018. But there was also $112,709 in the reserve. For Title I and Family Engagement, we earned $6,150. And then there was a carryover of funds that we did not use last school year in the general funds of $46,667. And then prorated losses, we received 50% of that, and they gave us $67,509. Their prorated loss was from our mathematics coach who had transitioned last school year. So those funds from the salary, they rolled over, and that is what assisted us with not losing any staff members. So our total adjustment after everything was calculated was $98,018. So that means we did not lose any staff members, and we have $98,018 to utilize for instructional support throughout the school, or the supports needed. Now with those funds were moved to different accounts, and they were non-staffing. And what I mean by non-staffing, that means we did not use these funds to acquire any additional staff members in this building. The next slide you will see will show where these funds were allocated. And I will also be taking any suggestions based off of the needs of the school, because the needs of the schools, of course, that is what was the main focus when these funds were moved. So when you look at this as a team, if you see any areas that you feel that funds could possibly be moved to support the needs of the school even more, please, please let me know. Now, those $98,018 in funds that we did have, these are how the funds were allocated. $10,000 was moved to web-based subscriptions and licenses, meaning those platforms that we use, such as iExcel, STEM Scopes, things of those natures that the district did not pay for or provide. I moved $10,000 to that. Administrative employee travel, $12,500. Instructional employee travel, $20,000. Teacher stipends, $5,000. Secretary overtime, $3,000. Signature program travel, $10,000. Academic stipends, $2,500. Teaching and other supplies, $10,000. Dues and fees for instructional staff, $5,000. Dues and fees for signature programs, $5,000. Dues and fees for administrative staff, $3,500. Student transportation, APS buses, $5,500. Books other than textbooks for professional development, $3,000. And books other than textbooks for instruction, $3,018. As you all look at that, can we have a discussion in regards to, are there any questions in regards to the changes that were made with the funds allocated from leveling?
Have these funds been spent already, or those are sitting in accounts for these different avenues?
Ms. Boston, they're currently in the accounts. And as you can see, a majority of that is for employee travel. Now that is because if you look at that, we of course have some great PO sessions here in the district, but at the same time, I feel there's a need for the staff to see other instructional opportunities beyond, so to get professional development in different conferences. So most of the funds are allocated for our department chairs and for our teachers that need the additional support to travel, whether it's in-state or out of state for professional learning opportunities.
Okay. The student transportation APS buses, is that for like after school or is that for like field trips?
That is for trips. So that right there is for trips. So that is different from the funds that have been allocated for the after school all-stars. So this is strictly for trips within the building, if needed.
Okay. I like to maybe throw out there maybe Brain Pop. I'm not sure I don't think we have a school-wide subscription to Brain Pop, but that maybe something that all grade levels maybe, content may be interested in having.
And we can look at that. And I'm just want to say this, and if anyone wants to jump in, I just don't want to get oversaturated with different platforms, because there are different platforms that we have within the building, and some platforms are used more than others, and these licensures are not cheap. So I would rather maximize the platforms that we are using currently. And then if we see no need for them, or if we see that there are platforms that can enhance the instructional program here in the school, we could look at that at a later time. But to purchase another licensure, and we just actually, I think, did 2 orders for 2 different platforms. I think right now that we may just need to hold off on Brain Pop, because I know that we have IXL, and let's just see how we utilize IXL before purchasing another platform. And that's
And
just
also too, in my backpack, there are a lot of apps that we have access to that are not being utilized, that we probably need to, as a school, sit down and just kind of go through the whole cache and show instructional staff their access to these and what they actually encompass, because it's a lot of things that can be substitutions. Even we might not have Brain Pop, we have something else comparable inside my backpack that's free for us that we won't have to spend money on.
I think that's an excellent idea, just because a lot of times we don't know what all is available. So yeah, to have those trainings would be great. And you said IXL, and do we still have access to Progress Learning?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Are there any other questions, wonderings? Okay.
Okay.
Now,
oh, my bad.
Okay, go. I'm sorry.
No, my bad. You still doing information items. My bad. I forgot. My bad.
Now, we have gone over our data, but now let's look at some of our celebrations here we've had at Long Middle School. As a first-year principal here at Long Middle School, I'm excited about the things that we've done thus far. We're less than 2 months into school, and we have had some great things happen here at Long Middle School. So I would like to highlight some of those things that we have had here in the last 2 months. First, our Verizon Innovation Lab ribbon cutting. This was an amazing opportunity. Our Bills Lab coordinator, Ms. Renee Dawson, she was actually the person who wrote the grant for this lab. Our very own STEM coach, Mr. Murphy, and our own coding teacher, Ms. Portie. They played a very integral part in this lab ribbon cutting. We had a very successful event. There were many individuals out here, and some of these photos are just a small highlight and recap of those things that happened at the lab cutting. So shout out to all of those individuals who made the ribbon cutting ceremony a success. And we know that Ms. Portie will be doing great things in the lab with our scholars. So again, thank you to all those who made this event possible. And we are looking for the great things that will come out of our lab. Next, we have the Speak and We Will Listen mural unveiling by Living Walls. Long Middle School had a great opportunity to actually have a mural painted in front of our school on our gymnasium entrance area on the wall. In front of you, you will see a depiction of the mural that was created by Chiomi from Living Walls. This was given by a grant that is very important in Atlanta. And when I say that, the actual young lady who the grant is in remembrance of, her family did come out and they were very excited to see not only our scholars, but the mural that was in remembrance of their daughter. So this mural is going to be at minimum here at Long Middle School for 5 years. There is a pink plaque that says who is dedicated to. And also our scholars, they participated in it. We actually had 30 scholars to actually assist in creating the actual mural. So if you look on the outside of the school around the perimeter of the mural, you will see those images that our scholars created. So this is something else great that has happened here at Long Middle School. Next, we have our grilling and drilling down map data and Title I meeting. This, I'm very excited about this event. And I'm saying I'm very excited because we had a very, very large number of families to turn out to this event. This event was co-facilitated by our 8th grade assistant principal, Mr. Danny, and also our STEM coach, Mr. Murphy, and our parent liaison, Ms. Head. On this night, Mr. Danny gave parents the opportunity to have some information about MAP, but at the same time, the supports that parents can provide to their scholars at home to ensure that they are getting the supports needed, not only at school, but at home, so they can see the partnership that we are taking in their academic success. So this was, again, a very impressive turnout here at Long Middle School, and we're looking forward to having these family engagement nights on a monthly basis. And last but certainly not least, we have a program here at Long Middle School that focuses on the mental health of our young men. This program is called Black Boys Better. And they were actually highlighted on Channel 46 News First. And I'm just going to play a snippet of the actual interview so you all can see our scholars in action. And our own counselor, Dr. Jones, is assisting this group in all of their efforts. And again, this is a partnership with the City of Atlanta Department of Behavioral Health, focusing on mental health. So this time I'm going to play the video which highlights our young men here at Long Middle School.
I'm getting pressure. Yeah, get feedback on your best friend. So join one of the it is a tough, but it's an important one to talk about. That's 2 decades. Rates of suicide among Black people have risen faster than any other racial war.
Tonight, during Suicide Prevention Month, Atlanta News First reporter Amanda Rose introduces us to a new program that places Black role models in school settings in a way many kids have never experienced.
Who in here feels that they've experienced anger and sadness more than they experienced happiness?
This Southwest Atlanta classroom is designed to be a safe space for students, specifically young Black men, can express their feelings without judgment.
To open up more of a happy.
The program Black Boys Better started here at Crawford Long Middle School just last week, with about 40 students total.
When I was 16, both of my big brothers were 25 and 40 years.
Founder Chris James says he knows what it feels like to deal with depression.
Nobody gave me to respond to that.
James now making it his mission to help other young Black men better understand their own depression and anxiety and manage their emotions.
What's something we can do when you're sad?
Lessons include coping skills like breathing, listening to uplifting music, and journaling.
Black boys are suspended at a higher rate, or they get harsher punishments like being expelled or going to jail as a result of them responding to their emotional expression, right?
Stressors, which for this population of students can include mental health issues in the home and socioeconomic barriers.
It's reaching out to underserved population of those who usually have been told it's not okay to share your emotions. It's not okay to have that conversation.
And with young black men twice as likely to die by suicide than white young men, this program has the potential to save lives.
That they don't harm themselves or others.
In Southwest Atlanta, Amanda Rhodes, Atlanta News First.
The Black Boys Better program is now in Fulton, Hancock, and Chatham counties, all thanks to funding the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Development.
And again, that just highlighted the program itself, but I just showed to you some of the great things that are going on here at Long Middle School within the first 2 months of school. And I know with the ongoing support of the staff and the community like we've had thus far, we will continue to have great things going on here at CW Long Middle School. Are there any
Ms. McCoo,
questions?
may,
Yes.
I'm sorry. May I add that we had our very first Hispanic Heritage Day parade?
And yes, Ms. Delnice, and I would like to sincerely say thank you to Ms. Delnice, because that was not highlighted, but we have had a fantastic, starting on the 15th of September, we really recognized and started with our parade. We had about 74, 75 Hispanic scholars. They did a parade around the building. And when I say that it gave the opportunity not only to those scholars, but the rest of the student population to show the importance of not only the Hispanic heritage, but how important those scholars are in our building. And I can truly say it gave a feeling of belonging, because just to see them marching down the hallways, but at the same time, to really have them all together and see the large population that we are serving, and to see the importance of recognizing that their heritage. I would like to say thank you to Ms. Delnice for the great job you've done thus far. I know we have some great things coming up, especially tomorrow with our Hispanic students. So thank you, Ms. Delnice, for spearheading that. And thank you to the staff members for just allowing our students to celebrate their heritage. At this time, are there any questions? Okay, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Principal McCoo. At this time, we will move into our public comment. If you have anyone from the floor has public comments, you may express your comments at this time. Ms. McCoo, I believe you had a slide that shows the norms for public comment. Could you share that real quick, please? So as it pertains to public comments, I'll read the protocols out loud. There will be 20 minutes allotted for public comment. Each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. There will be no conversation around specific personnel concerns during open comment portion. The Goal Team chairperson reserves the right to stop a public comment if the language of the comment becomes threatening or offensive. Please note that members of the Goal Team will not be able to provide a response or engage in direct conversation during the public comment portion. People can email their public comments to the Goal Team chairperson, Ms. Natasha Hall at this time, or myself, Jameson Murphy at jemurphy@atlanta.k12.ga.us, and I'll put that in the chat as well, or place a comment card in the comment box, or place it in the chat as well, since this is recorded. To participate in public comment, you must sign up at the beginning of the Go Team meeting. All public comments, concerns are important and will receive a follow-up response. At this time, we are opening up the floor for the public comments.
question, and I know I'm a member, but if there are no comments, do we wait for 20 minutes?
No, I'll move on. Yeah, it's just like the first 10 seconds. So I was trying to, give it a minute.
Okay.
And I did place my email address in the chat area if anyone would like to email me their public comments. At this time, based on the volume of comments that have come through, we will move on. And does anyone have any announcements? Anything upcoming school-wide or locally?
Yeah, yes, homecoming is approaching. That's next week. Flyers were sent home 2 weeks ago. So our Spirit Week is next week. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just read off our, I don't know, can you see that? Okay, that's the flyer that went home. Monday, October 2nd is our blast from the past. The students who have purchased wristbands for $15 are able to rep their favorite decade. Tuesday, October 3rd, that's Twin Day. The kids can dress up alike with a friend or teacher. Wednesday, October 4th is Teacher Student Swap Day. That's when kids can dress like teachers and teachers can dress like students. Also, we had planned a teacher flag football game. We're still working that out to see if we have enough young teachers to participate in that activity. Thursday, October 5th, that's our pajama day. Students are asked to bring their uniform to have in their bag or under their pajamas, and no house shoes or bonnets are allowed. And the administration reserves the right to restrict any participation if the pajamas do not qualify or are not appropriate. Friday, October 6th is our Spirit Day. That's when students can wear their spirit gear, Crawford long shirt and jeans. And we're going to have our pep rally that afternoon, and homecoming dance from 4:30 to 6 p.m. The wristband gains access to the homecoming dance as well. And students are encouraged to wear semi-formal attire, and parents are asked to pick up their scholars by 6:10. And then our homecoming game is October 7th at Best Academy. Is between Long and Sylvan Hills at 10 a.m. And there's not a fee involved with that one. Also, the students who are candidates for the homecoming court, those students will start campaigning tomorrow, and the students will vote for the homecoming court on Thursday, October 5th, and those homecoming court honorees will be announced during the pep rally, which will include our coordination. So that's all next week.
Okay, thank you very much. At this
Also,
time,
just a reminder that from the 9th to the 13th, we will have our fall break. So scholars will not be in the building, and teachers will have 2 days of site-based professional learning.
are there any other announcements from the floor? Okay. I would like to announce Ms. Dionise. What is the time for our next meeting? Oh, also too, Miss Mays wanted to point out that we're preparing for Science Fair. Science Fair will be the second week in November here at Long, and it's going to be our Tiger Social Studies and Science Fair. So it's going to be a combined effort, part of our signature programming. So please support students with that, and you'll get further updates about that as well. Ms. Dionise, when is our next meeting?
The next meeting is October 26th.
Okay, so our next meeting is October 26th at 5:30 p.m. Also, before that time, we also discuss a replacement for today's meeting since there were no actionable items due to the quorum. And if there's something else from the floor, we can adjourn the meeting at 6:29 p.m.
I motion.
Well, we don't have to make any motions. We don't have a quorum.
Oh,
for
right,
us.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.